Hello! This episode of Spooky Swirl is brought to you by our lovely backers over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl. $5 backers get access to our monthly bonus show Cinema Swill, where we take a look at some rubbish movies, including Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was certainly horrific. And very soon we'll be releasing our Wicker Man episode, but not this Wicker Man, the one with Nicolas Cage. To find out more, head on over to patreon.com/cinemaswirl. But for now, let's get spooky swirling.
Cinema Swirl! A side effect of ice expansion is scree. It's episode number 53, and you're not just in any old podcast, you're in a Spooky Swirl special edition. My co-host is Sam Chaplin, my OTP, who's not seen any of the ghoulish movies, one of which, The Wicker Man, we're going to be looking the fuck out of today.
Hello, Kevin. Imagine it's night time and you're in a graveyard, yeah? And you're wandering around and you think, oh, this is a bit spooky, bit scary. And you think, oh, and it's Halloween night and you think, oh, maybe one of the skeletons are going to come out of the thing. But what happens is one of the tombstones sprouts little legs and starts running at you and then dives headfirst into your shin, right?
Oh no!
That's me, that is. That's what I am.
Wait, you're the tombstone, or you're the unfortunate shin?
Yes. The unfortunate shin, Sam Chaplin here. Welcome aboard Spooky Swirl, volume 56?
They say that there used to be a Spooky Swirl back here years ago, but that's just hearsay and conjecture at this point. Spooky Swirl, of course, the spooky, which is used to open the very scary door to our podcast.
Hey, the spoo door.
Spoo door. Spooky, more like booky, am I right? Because talking all about ghosts, ghouls and goblins, Sam, this is the one time a year where we allow ourselves to watch a scary movie.
Yes.
That's a movie that's meant to be scary, I should say.
Yes, although I suppose we probably should watch some horror films the rest of the year, maybe at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Spooky Swirl, it's a guarantee, mate. It's a guarantee it's going to be a scary film. It's going to be a horror.
But I'm okay with doing horror movies at other points in the year, provided that means that we are at different points of the year allowed to do Christmas movies. Because I think that's only fair then, really, if you think about it. If you really think about it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So coming this summer... It's going to be a seasonal spooktacular as we bring you a combination of Christmas and horror movies to see you through those hot, long afternoons. Sam, I've got a bit of a spooky update from last year's Spooky Swirl.
Okay, sure. Hit me with the spooky update.
Hit me with your spooky stick. I have carved a pumpkin.
Oh,
boom, big news.
Okay. And you've previously not done that. That was a big thing that you'd never carved one.
Previously never carved a pumpkin.
Okay.
As a child, I'd instead just eaten a pumpkin, which is not as fun,
not
obviously.
The same thing.
Like
last episode, we were talking about normal things that everyone has done, but you haven't done. And carving a pumpkin very much could be one of those things. But now you've done it. What did you carve into your pumpkin? Was it anything out of the ordinary?
It was my dad. I carved my dad into a pumpkin
for your first one. For number one, you were like,
for number one. Number one pumpkin is my dad, and I think that should be I just assumed that was everyone's number one.
You should start referring to your dad as your number one pumpkin because that sounds really cute.
He is my number one pumpkin. And I mean, this is no sign of disrespect because he's by no means a large man.
No.
I mean, like, a pumpkin would be to scale. You'd have to... he's a lot smaller than... His head is a lot smaller. My dad isn't smaller than an actual pumpkin, like a little tiny man who would fit inside a pumpkin.
Yeah.
As adorable as that may be. But no, I did my dad on a pumpkin because I figured he's bald on top, so I could cut off the top and that would be absolutely fine. Yeah. Carve in a mustache. And we work from there. And I did. I made it. And I was very proud of myself.
Does your dad wear spectacles at all?
He does, yes.
Did you carve those into it?
I did. And the reason I was able to do that, Sam, is that one of our pumpkin carving party had legit pumpkin carving tools.
Ugh.
whoa, what's this?
I don't know. Something about that. Just specifically for pumpkin carving.
Well, they had a kind of like an orange slip case that you could you could put them back into, like,
okay.
You know, and they had, you had the poker, the gouger, the scraper, all the pumpkin tools. Sorry, how do you do it then? Typically, do you just do it with your bare hands like a fucking animal?
Yeah, just rip into a pumpkin with my long sharp nails that I've developed over many years. Like a bloody bloke, mate, that's what I do, yeah. I just hit it, I punch a pumpkin. If it forms a face, grand. If it doesn't, grand. Pumpkin. There you go, wallop.
What a slippery slope you've been on. You started off when I first met you as not being too keen on Halloween, and here you are now, figuratively and literally sparking out pumpkins every time you just douche. Like, I mean, a lot of ruffians around my neck of the woods would simply kick the pumpkin. To get down to their level,
I'll spark it out, mate.
And to punch it, like to squat down, look the pumpkin in the eye and really respect it, and then punch it. Like, that's dark, Sam.
Nah, dark kind of guy. Dark kind of season. It's Halloween, mate. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
As you're getting older, it's interesting that you're doing that. It was an interesting choice that you've opted in for getting older. But as you're getting older, have you noticed any Halloween changes or Halloween perspectives on your end that maybe are a little bit different from when you were a young lad in his early 20s?
Not really, no. I've noticed, here's what I've noticed, mate. And, I don't think anyone said anything like this before. It seems like Christmas is coming earlier and earlier, and the Halloween decorations and the Christmas decorations are out at the same time now. And you can't cross the probably sacrilege, mates. Which one is it? Is what I keep at. Is it Halloween? Is it Christmas? What's going on here? It's political correctness gone mad, mate, the way they're doing this.
I'll tell you what, it's going to come to a head now, Sam, and we have to decide if we're going to make Christmas spookier or make Halloween more festive. It has to go one or the other, because this town ain't big enough in October for the both of yous.
I reckon pop a Christmas hat on a pumpkin, you're sorted. So make Halloween more festive.
Yeah, you want Halloween to be more festive?
A stepping stone on the journey towards Christmas. You've got Halloween, but it's part of the Christmas season, Much
as I imagine in the same way that Halloween could be like the appetizer for the entree that is Christmas, much in the same way that Thanksgiving is assumedly the opening contest of the main event that is Christmas mania when it comes to that time of year in Americas and other places where there's Americans and they celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think it's about time that Halloween got absorbed by Christmas Co. and just became part of the Christmas brand,
Wait, are you saying that Halloween you wanted to get bought out by Big Christmas?
That's absolutely what I'm saying. I want it to be softened, I want it to be commercialised more, and I want it to just be completely Christmassy.
The 12 scares of Halloween, just saying you could have that instead of the days of Christmas,
Little advent calendar for Halloween, counting down to Halloween. You get little pumpkins every time, just tiny little baby pumpkins.
And instead of bringing us some figgy pudding, it will be bring us some figgy blood and guts.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin, when I was thinking about advent calendars then, I was thinking, pumpkins behind everything, but then it could be something scary behind the doors.
Like Jesus.
Yeah.
And the three wise men.
Literally 2 days ago, when I put my trousers on before I went to go to work, I put my hand in the pocket, and there was just a dead spider in there.
Oh, that's the scariest thing in the world.
I was like, what's this? Oh no, it's a dead spider. Happy Halloween, everyone. What a horrible time to be around.
I can't imagine that anything that we're going to watch for this podcast now is going to scare you as personally as that.
Dead spider in the pocket. Yeah, it wasn't
Dead
great.
Spider. I've ever told you about when I saw a spider on my bed once when I was a kid, and I was like, "What's this weird little ball?" And I didn't realize the spider was asleep, and its legs kind of went and came out like a robot would. It was terrible. It was so bad. This is good. We're in suitably spooky headspace,
Yep.
And to get me so it's not unbalanced, I'm going to now imagine a man brushing wet pavement with a very coarse brush. Because that is my greatest fear.
Right.
I'm telling you that in confidence now.
Brushing wet pavement with a coarse brush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just the sound of that goes through
it's
you.
gone from being like that kind of like, oh, you know, everyone's got like a sound that makes them kind of go, ooh.
Oh yeah, if there's like a scrape, what I would describe as a scrapey bowl, a fork against a scrapey bowl, like a bowl with texture.
Oh, people don't
I hate
like that.
No.
I don't mind that, but I
Right.
know there's people like if they hear that, it's like I understand.
Yeah.
Another one is if you hear someone kind of going, you know, like a little that noise if you're grabbing like something glass, like a vase or a big jar or
Oh,
something.
I thought you meant someone doing like a little trump. Just going,
But I remember asking someone that like recently, like, have you got like a noise like that just kind of gets you? And they're like, oh yeah. Nails on a chalkboard.
oh, come on.
Like, really?
Bit Route 1, mate.
Hey, have you heard of this new ice cream flavour? It's called chocolate. Yeah, we're fucking aware. It's the main one. Like, come on.
You don't really get fingernails down a chalkboard anymore, do you? Do you even have chalkboards?
No, it's. I'll tell you from experience, Sam. It's whiteboards.
Yeah.
And I wore my fingernails down to a nub, constantly doing that, and the kids didn't even pay attention. All I did was get grubby marks all over myself.
Yeah, you've only got yourself to blame there, mate. You've stitched yourself up right good and proper.
So, Sam, today, speaking of stitching up good and proper, we're going to stitch up this big old Wicker Man, and this is a movie which has confounded and delighted me for most of my life. I only watched it actually quite recently. It's only
Okay.
in the last year I've actually seen this. But I have it on good authority that recurring character on the podcast, my dad, has got the hot scoop on this.
Right.
He met someone who was in this movie at a record convention once. Because sometimes when record conventions are poorly attended, they'll buttress them with some kind of B-movie stars and a few other bits and bobs.
Yeah.
So after this, before I watch the movie, I'm going to call my dad and get the hot, juicy gossip.
Please do.
But Wicker Man, what do you know about it?
He's a man, he's mate. I mean, I thought we were doing horror movies, not superhero movies, mate, because Wicker Man, what's he going to do? Store all of your picnic stuff? Yeah? Is that what he's going to do?
Provide an uncomfortable chair for crime.
Wicker Man. It's a big man made of wicker.
Yeah. And what happens if a man sees the Wicker Man? What would he say, or what would be his reaction? Would you think?
Oh, is there a stock reaction to the Wicker Man?
I mean, just saying, someone brought you round the cliffside and there's a giant Wicker Man there.
Oh, that's big. That well done. That shows a great deal of craftsmanship and skill to make something that big out of wicker.
I mean, would it be too much of a stretch to say that the reaction would be,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah. Got a nice Wicker Man there.
So there's a Wicker Man.
It gets set on fire.
Okay.
You burn the Wicker Man.
Why?
Tradition.
Oh, tradition. Funny that, isn't it? Like,
Feels very English, the idea of burning down a big wicker thing.
Do you know where this movie was made?
No, but I imagine the British Isles.
All right, this is interesting, folks, because this is, I think, the first time we have a proper mirror is going to be held up between Cinema Swirl and Cinema Swill, because over in Cinema Swill, we're going to be reviewing The Wicker Man, but not this Wicker Man. We're reviewing that Wicker Man.
This Wicker Man.
This is
That's
this
gonna be
Wicker
that
Man.
Wicker Man.
That's going to be that
Yeah.
other Wicker Man.
I do know a bit about that.
Now, what do you know about that one?
Not the bees. Nicolas Cage gets put in some bees. And he's like, the bees, not the bees. He doesn't like bees. So I hope there's going to be some bees in this.
Okay, you're hoping for some bees?
Honey, maybe? Do they put honey on the wicker? Oh, honeyed wicker. Doesn't...
Now, that's the sticker man you're thinking of, I think. And funnily enough, that one was actually designed by a thicker man, a real Aegis, a real fucking paddywhacker of an absolute gobshite. Yeah.
It's good, I like
Paddywhacker. No, you can't use that one.
Oh, okay. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll bleep that out.
It's all right. If you please do, yeah. If you don't mind, like, you know. Until you know someone whose name is Patrick Whacker, and you can, you know, and you and even then, Sam, you have to reach the level of formality where you can shorten.
Right. So, okay.
Still won't let him call me Kev. Still won't let him.
No.
Not yet.
Mr. Man is how I've been told to address you. So I'm trying to think about what the plot to the Wicker Man could be.
I mean, is it one where you've heard much scuttlebutt? Like, this is a university movie, if there ever was one. This is one which frequent viewings were taking place throughout my time at university. Is this one where people have been hounding you to watch?
Not really. No, I know of it. I know it's well regarded in terms of horror movies. It is a horror, right? This is Spooky Swirl.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you did see Jimmy Carr running down the top 100 scariest movies for Channel 4 a couple of years back.
Wicker Man was probably up there. I think it plays into this weird idea of British festivals. And I'm not talking about Reading, Leeds, Glastonbury, Tea in the Park. I'm not talking about those festivals. Transmit. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
Oxygen, Witness, Slain, all the big ones.
All those. I'm talking about where there'd be preserves available. You'd be able to buy some jam.
You're talking about Fate, aren't you?
Yeah, Fate culture.
What is the Fate culture?
Jam, number one.
Do you get them in Nottingham? Because I've been tantalised by Fate.
It's been a long time since I've been to a Fate.
But there are Fates knocking about in Nottingham.
I feel like I went to Fates when I was at school. You'd go to a Fate. There'd be little games. It's not like a fair where there'd be rides, like a fun fair.
Because a fair implies a higher level of whimsy. A Fate, for me, from what I've gathered, seems to be more of a community endeavour as opposed to just pure joy.
Would be around, I think. I don't know if they'd be for sale or if they'd just be there for display purposes.
Now, you don't be telling me that your Fates are cattle marts. That's not the same now.
You might have to guess how many jelly beans are in a jar.
Guess how many cattle are in a herd.
Yeah, lots of guessing games. A lot of guessing going on. And I'm struggling to guess what's going on in the Wicker Man. Am I right?
People show up to the Fate and they're like, What do you think this is, kids? What do you think it is? Is it a fair? No. Is it a cattle mart? No, you idiot. What is it? I don't know.
I mean, the R and the T are quite close together on the keyboard. But Fate isn't spelt F-A-I-T, is it? Or is it?
I thought it's F-E-T-E. Fate.
Fete.
I'm not fucking answering questions about your culture.
I'm just trying to work out how it came to be. I don't really know what a Fate is, but it's that kind of Morris dancing. You know,
are there Morris dancers in Nottingham?
I don't know, but that's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing a maypole, maybe.
Because I saw Morris dancers for the first Gingham.
I'm just going to keep shouting Gingham.
I saw Morris dancers for the first time ever recently. And it was great. I was in Chester,
right?
And I was walking along historic Chester, and then all of a sudden, a group of people I was with said, "Look over there, the Morris dancers!" And then like 4 or 5 old people just came out and just started doing a
little jig,
doing a little bit of a jig, waving some arms around, shaking a tambourine. Someone had bells on his feet, and people didn't seem very happy that they were there,
right?
But they seemed so respectful. Like everyone took a step back and gave them a massive wide berth, like they were watching something proper special. And if that's what English culture is,
well, Morris dancers have right of way on a public footpath. I know that for definite.
No, you're thinking of Morris Minors. That's different. that's a car, Sam. Okay.
So I don't really know who's in this. I don't know what it's about. I'm guessing
you don't know the famous face of horror that's in this movie.
No, should I? The face of horror.
You know what? I have no cause to think why you would know them. No, wait, I do, of course. What am I talking about?
Face of horror.
Think to your least favourite trilogy that we've had to do for this podcast.
Oh, The Lord of the Rings.
Who could be a face of horror from an old movie?
Elijah Wood. No, not Sir Ian McKellen.
He's too good.
He's too nice.
Too good. Jeez, imagine when McKellen does scary horror.
Yeah. Right. Mr. Metal Music. Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. Yes.
Right,
Very good.
He's in this. That makes sense. That follows.
Christy Lee.
Yeah.
No better a man for the horror. You just mentioned that now. Yeah, he's in here as well.
Does he play the Wicker Man?
I think you might be dwelling a little bit too much on the title itself.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's all I've got to go on, really.
Yeah, I know, but Sam, I keep telling you, this isn't like a book report for your GCSE. This is like a podcast. This is serious business. Like, you have to be you have to give it more than that, you know?
I know there is a big Wicker Man, and I know that the Wicker Man burns. I somehow have absorbed that information.
Have you seen that actual image of the Wicker Man burning, then?
Maybe. Somewhere as a still, maybe. I've seen big Wicker Man burning.
What is the biggest wicker item in your house?
I don't think we have any wicker items in our house anymore.
I swore there was a wicker chair in your house.
I think there has been at some point. I don't think it's still there.
Because I'm going to say right now,
I think I might live in a wicker-free household. I'm going to say it.
I live in a wicker-free household, except for one wicker basket, which Joe uses to hold old cassette tapes, which, for me, that is an antiquated material holding within it another antiquated material. You know?
I mean, maybe they should reboot this film and make it the Cassette Man.
Cassette Man,
made of all the cassettes that they pull out all the the actual
ribbony bits
tape and wrap
tape
it
man.
around a big man, a big tape man.
Before we head off to an old-timey spooky face, let's delve into the crypt. Blah of the mailbag. Going out in that weather, for feck's sake.
Welcome to the spooky mailbag.
Sorry. Let me just close that door. Okay, it's closed.
It's closed. Welcome to the spooky mailbag. It's all
or more like the spooky mail boog.
Welcome to the spooky mail boog. It's all full of cobwebs and spiders and stuff, but I think there's some questions and comments and other stuff in there somewhere.
Stop sending Sam spiders in the mail. We've been very clear about this. It is. It's terrible.
Yeah. So, first question comes, and now these have all, I'm going to be honest with you, Kevin, these have all come into facebook.com/cinema swirl. All right?
Oh, so a proper horror show then, is it, Sam? Proper horror show, is it?
Absolutely not. Not a single spooky question came through to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. So my hands were tied.
I'm saying, who would you rather glean personal information from your electronic communications? Mark Zuckerberg?
Or Ian Google?
Old pals Kevin and Sam at the old, look, folks, we here at Gmail are just a small-time little family business. And if you folks want to send your messages through to the old-fashioned way at Gmail, well... That's all right. There's a lot of history down this old neck of the woods in the internet. But if you want to send your ghoulish epitaphs to fucking Facebook, then so be it.
All right. So, this comes in from Phil Dean. Phil Dean asks, in the same vein as Twilight, which Hollywood monster deserves a sexy 21st century reboot? I think, this is Phil, a new Creature from the Black Lagoon could be pretty tasty. What are your feelings on that? Rebooted Hollywood monsters that can get a sexy twist for the new millennium.
I'd really, really be interested to see someone try to do a sexy version of The Thing, because I think that's quite a broad, lateral approach you need to take there. You know, obviously it still needs to shapeshift, it still needs to be very horrifying, but also titillating at the same time as well. Like, when that dog splits open, why can't we get a couple of boobs, maybe a willy come out, Not massive ones, whatever size willy and tits you've got,
Subtle stuff, yeah.
Yeah, subtle stuff.
Yeah. My thought would be, and I imagine this has happened already, but I can't think of any instances of it. A sexy 21st century mummy, as in an old school wrapped up mummy, but sexy. And
as in they've only done the bandages down to kind of just above the knee, and it's like, hang on a second there now,
and the rest is just skeleton bone. I think that could have.
I know, fans. Someone
appeal.
Clearly is not familiar with the embalming process over here,
Oh yeah,
skeleton bone.
I think that could be a thing, and then you'd have Yummy Mummy, which has got it kind of, that could be the title of the film. You get James Corden in, you get Matthew Horn, some kind of quirky, fun,
look, once you
Corden,
it's going to be all of that, Sam, and then some. That's just all it is. How about The Exorcist? Because it already has some pretty and, quite frankly, raunchy dialogue.
Yeah.
All it is in the delivery. Like,
right.
Selma Blair's like, just come on,
tone
into a little bit.
Need to change the tone a bit.
Change the tone.
Same wording.
Get an older actor, different tone.
Yep.
Your mother sucks cocks now. Ooh, now does she? All right, you. Kinky, yeah?
Yeah, all right. I think we've got a good selection there to go for, so I hope that impresses you, Phil.
I hope you have a sexy Halloween, Phil.
Our next message is just a nice Halloween story from Matt Henson, who writes, when I was 18, I started working at the now-defunct UCI Cinema. I love when something is now defunct.
Yeah, that's and also UCI Cinema, it sounds like it's like a struggling university as well, like... I told you we can't do a cinema university. I didn't want to listen.
On our first day of training, they told us the place was haunted, but not to be worried about it. I don't really believe in ghosts, so this wasn't a concern. However, during my time there, I had seats flip around me without any cause, huge temperature drops in certain areas, and bags of rubbish untie and create an inexplicably perfect line of garbage down the aisles. Sure, all that was quite creepy, but nothing scared me as much as seeing how much a human child can throw up after eating too many sweets and knocking back a big bucket of Tango. The Exorcist vomit scene grossly undersold the reality of the situation. That's from Matt Henson there. It's just a nice story that I think that the temperature drops in certain areas is just to do with the air conditioning in cinemas,
which is being in a cinema,
which
isn't
is
it?
Always weird. But we had problems with air conditioning where, like, literally some seats you could sit in them and it would be freezing cold, and other ones you could be boiling hot, and it's just the air conditioning was fucked, mate. I think that's all it was.
I'm pretty sure all the cinemas in Manchester are haunted in a similar vein, because every single one of them smells and almost feels like it's drenched in piss.
Right.
And I thought, like, oh, maybe it's just this one here in this location. Maybe this cinema's got kind of, rowdy staff that don't want to clean up, or just like kind of clocking off long night, let's just piss everywhere. But it's every cinema, busy, small, big, medium, every cinema in Manchester smells of piss. And all I can think of is that there is a ghost in the vein of Slimer from Ghostbusters,
right?
But it is piss.
Okay, that raised a different question to me, which was like, can ghosts piss? And I've never thought about that.
I think this ghost definitely leaves somewhere between piss and ectoplasm in its wake.
But you're saying that this ghost is piss? This is a piss ghost? Yeah.
It's not Slimer, it's Pisser. That's what this is.
Yeah, it's like a yellow ghost, I'm imagining, that leaves a trail of piss everywhere. Not just a standard ghost walking around pissing.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Stop pissing on the walls, you freaks.
Ugh, yucky.
PSA, piss in the fucking toilet.
Right.
There you go. And guess what? Teach your kids to do it as well. If they go in there and they piss on your eye and all over the wall, it's your fault. Sort it out.
Yeah. So thank you for that story. So Lewis Clark writes, have the lads, and I like this question, have the lads ever been to a cinema showing of a horror film where the entire audience was completely invested and freaking out accordingly? Lewis says those are some of my favourite cinema going experiences. I have something to say on this, in that I haven't had that experience.
Oh, really?
Every time I've seen a horror film at a cinema, something has been a bit off, and it's not felt like this communal scare fest. Either there's like teens or kids goofing
laughing
off, making noise, taking the piss.
And do you know why they're doing that, Sam? It's because they're afraid, and they think the only way out of this is to have a few jags with my friends.
Yeah, you wouldn't catch me or you making jokes about horrific things. Horror films.
No, we were respectful, and we recorded it in our podcast afterwards instead.
Exactly. It's either that, or it's a situation where everyone's very, very silent and no one is giving off any kind of reaction. Everyone's trying desperately hard to not react, so it just feels completely quiet and dead, or there'll be a combination of both where it's mostly silent and then some kids pissing around. I've not had that really fun, full cinema experience where everyone's watching a horror movie and people are getting scared and people are freaking out.
Don't like horror movies,
not really,
generally
no.
speaking.
No.
Like, what are you expecting? Are you expecting like it to be akin to like going on a roller coaster and you go in and it'll be like,
I don't know, but I mean, this is what Lewis is kind of suggesting, some kind of mutual experience of scares and japes and surprises.
I mean, I've been to a few like horror film festival types of things, like Fright Fest in Edinburgh and stuff like that, where it's a room full of super horror nerds who like they'll go when something scary happens, but everyone starts laughing afterwards.
Right,
it's very much, it's not a we're all being scared together. It's like we're all having a great time together. Which
that could be that kind of thing, I guess.
It could be that.
Yeah.
I think the closest I had, I think I mentioned on Spooky Swirl last year that I had been, but A Quiet Place, when I went, it was like early in the morning and there was like a handful of people in the cinema.
Right.
But everyone was so quiet and so scared that I kind of like, I was really happy that I saw it in that experience with just a few people who were also scared. I think if that was a full house, I wouldn't have enjoyed it because I would have been pissed off by people making noises and stuff.
But it's kind of interesting as just with that film, really, being able to sense other people being quiet.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Like, obviously they're not making any noise, but you can feel people not making noise, which has its own unique, weird feeling.
I wonder if it'll be less annoying if I just very slowly, loudly crunch on this Dorito.
More annoying.
What the fuck are you doing over there? Chipping away plaster? Like, stop it.
One more question here before we head into the film. This comes from James Gilheaney, who asks, would you allow someone to attend a Halloween party you were putting on if they were dressed as Colin Cum?
Oh, God. I mean, yes, because I would like to see someone explain that all night. And that would be a lot of fun. That would be Halloween sorted, essentially.
Yeah.
Entertainment, engagement, social stuff, all taken care of there. So yeah, I welcome anyone who wants to come to any bash of mine. Not even Halloween. If you're coming to my house for New Year's or whatever, come dressed as Colin Cum. I'm cool with that.
I want to put on a party where I only allow people in who are dressed as Colin Cum.
Or we could do one of those sea-themed parties and really just hope that someone kind of drills down into the lore of Cinema Swirl and comes out with Colin Cum, like.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your spooky questions into the mailbag. If you've got any questions that are not spooky, or maybe it's spooky for next year, send them on over to Cinema.
Send us a message that we'll read out in a year's time, because Lord knows that's Facebook's strength, is finding stuff from a while back.
Send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.boo.
Or on the socials, use the socials, guys. Use the socials.
Yeah, that's what they're there for, allegedly.
Yeah. Just do a bit of social interaction, yeah? Bit of social media. At gmail.com.
So, Sam, we're about to settle in for a horror classic. The absolutely legendary Possum. I don't know if you'll be scared or not.
Okay. It's a horror movie, right?
It is absolutely a horror movie.
Okay.
But what scares you seems to be kind of
spiders in pockets.
Spiders in pockets. I'm not sure if it's a spiders in pockets kind of movie. This will be interesting to see if you have a time to ruminate on this.
If you gave me a scrapey bowl full of spiders, I'd be fucking terrified, mate. So if that's in this film, if that's part of the fate, then I'm gonna be spooked beyond belief. Right,
so we're gonna go now watch Charlie and the Big Bowl of Spiders. Which is the really unpopular follow-up to the previous installments of the franchise.
Yep.
Let's go do, or should I say, let's go boo, a Cinema Swirl. And we're back.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. They've lit the flame, but I'm trapped inside. There are animals in here as well. Oh God, oh Christ. I'm in a Wicker Man. Wicker Man. Burning to death in a Wicker Man. There we go.
Yay! This is great. I've always wanted you to do the post-Swirl song, you know? That's good.
I decided to take the lead this time. A little ditty.
So, we're looking at The Wicker Man, where while I was doing my research today, I found out, and I shit you not, this is not a joke, it is known in some circles, critical circles, as the Citizen Kane of horror movies.
Well, we have only a couple of episodes ago we watched the Citizen Kane of Citizen Kane movies, and now we're watching the Citizen Kane of horror movies.
If you can tell that we're desperately trying to get people to, when there's a movie we do in Cinema Swirl, and it's like, oh, that's not just a brainless action movie, the listens go down a little bit, so we have to do our bit to be like, oh, Citizen Kane, you should it is a fun episode, you should go check it out. It is almost like The Wicker Man in that it is the Citizen Kane of its respective genre.
Well, Citizen Kane is the Wicker Man of drama, right? Yeah.
Sam, initial gut reactions. Are you a better man for watching The Wicker Man?
I feel some disturbance within me. Creeped out is how I would describe it.
Do you feel a little bit like you're full or something, grossed out?
Well, I did have a big lunch, but that's by the by. Just, not scared, but just weirded out, I would say.
I listened to a Big Owl interview with erstwhile wizard Christopher Lee, and he said that it's not a horror movie, and he resented it being shoehorned as a horror. He said it's not a horror movie, it's not that at all. Problem was, though, he didn't specify what genre it was. He was just like, it's not a horror movie. Stop calling it a horror movie.
It's the Citizen Kane of not horror movie.
Now, and I was thinking, Sam, sure, there's the other genres, isn't there? There's comedy, isn't there?
Yeah.
Westerns, gangsters, chick flicks.
Yep.
Rom-coms.
Kids.
Animation movies.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to fall into any of those. So this may be, if we're to take Christopher Lee at its word, it defies categorization.
It's a genreless film, which I'm all on board with.
And if you at home have got your physical media collection done by genre and Wicker Man's in the horror, you should take it out and then you should be like, where does it go? That's the Wicker Man, baby.
That's the feeling you get. Yeah,
That's the feeling. Where does it go? I don't know.
Yeah, but it is spooky swirl, and it's a horror movie. Come on, it's horrible. No, it's not bad, but there's horror in it.
There's horrifying images and there's horrifying concepts. It's a conceptually disturbing movie. Can we say that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
So you didn't get eek, you didn't have an eek or an IE, but you might have had a meh.
Citizen Kane had more jump scares than this, which is interesting to think about, isn't it?
So, which version of this movie did you watch? Because there's quite a few. It's like Blade Runner, this.
I think I watched... Of course, I purchased this legally from the DVD shop. I think I watched the final cut.
Oh, yeah, that's me too. Yeah,
or it might have been the Adobe Premiere cut.
Now, mine was Real Player, the cut for that, It had great compression on 640 by 800. I was, there in Scotland, basically, when I was watching it.
I think mine was 92 or 93 minutes, something like that. I think there's an 88-minute one and there's a 103-minute one or something.
So what happened was, the movie was made, and the original cut of the movie as intended by the director is quite lengthy. It's nearly 2 hours, or it's 1 hour 40 thereabouts. It's an extra kind of 15-20 minutes. And the distributors didn't like the movie. They didn't think it was strong enough or scary enough to be its own thing. So they chopped it down to this really, really bare bones version that kind of got rid of a lot of the kind of the preamble, essentially. It was only 70 minutes or thereabouts. And the idea was that would be, we were talking recently about when the double bill and
B-movies
and stuff.
It would be a B-movie.
Essentially, they made it a B-movie. Exactly. Right. Learn all about that in our odyssey through B-movies and Sam's jet lag over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl.
Go for it.
I don't know if that was an effective plug or not.
There'll be some people who are intrigued by that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But that was the version that was released. Then the kind of version that was released on home video was the American theatrical release.
Right.
And the version which was a bit longer.
Yeah.
And the version that you and I saw like 5 or 6 years ago, it's like, we found the hidden footage. But it wasn't the hidden footage. What it was an in-between cut that was between the American version and the really chopped up version, which gives us this lean, mean 92-minute version that we have now. There was even a version that was 15 minutes.
15?
15!
15?
15!
I'm sure that wasn't just a really long trailer.
No, it was. They did as part of it was like a triple bill or something like that, apparently.
Oh, jeez. Wow, okay.
And what happens in the movie is that the policeman comes to the island, is immediately kidnapped and then taken to the Wicker Man, the end.
Oh, okay.
Now, we would have been back in time for cornflakes if we had done that version.
We would have been. We got this padded out nonsense with all this story in the middle.
Ugh. We open on a scary deity image, which I nicknamed Hot Water Crust Pastry.
I do like that a lot. I just wrote in my notes that, I already don't like that weird face at the start.
Why?
The way it zooms in on it, and it's just looking at you, and it looks thick, like you could poke your finger in it and it will go in. It's made out of
something malleable.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it's supposed to be wooden or wicker or something, but it
looks like it's been laughing cow cheese that's been left out in the air too long, and it's formed a kind of a semi-permeable crust.
That's what it looks like, and that's what really started to freak me out with this film. Already I'm on the back foot here.
Sam, the cow's not laughing anymore. This is a witnessing cow is what we've got here. Sunday, April 29th, 1973, and it is a good old-fashioned Catholic Mass.
Yes.
I was a bit worried at the start, thinking like, oh God, a real horror show here. They're going to show us a heathen Protestant Mass where there's singing and fucking knitting and they record an episode of Antiques Roadshow instead of doing the Holy Scripture, whatever it is you people do. But no, it's good. They took the bread, made it. They had the transubstantiation.
Bread's Jesus, the wine is Jesus, the blood of Jesus. Eat Jesus.
Eat Jesus for less, coming to BBC this fall. But it was done right, it was done proper, and I was glad for that now, Sam, so I was.
That's just to demonstrate our protagonist here is a Christian man.
And not just any old Christian. He's a Catholic, which is like, I'm a bit biased, aren't I, though?
It's one of the many branches of Christianity.
I'm Ben and Jerry's over here, and Sam's just like, but all ice cream, wages wars.
So he's flying over some islands in his fancy seaplane. What's the word for that kind of plane? Is it seaplane?
I thought it was a seaplane.
Seaplane? Yeah, I think so. In my head, I'm like, there's another word for that kind of plane, and I can't think of it for the life of me. Maybe there's not.
Flying boat. That's the other name for it, I believe.
Something this film does very well is folk music that isn't inherently creepy, but can kind of feel creepy. Because if you just... In isolation, this is not scary music.
No, in isolation, this is like my dad listening to prog on a Sunday or something like that.
Nice bit of folk. And I thought, corn rigs and barley rigs, we all love corn
rigs and barley rigs and bonny wee lasses.
Yeah, that's all right. This could be a lovely film. This could be a nice
corn.
film. Yeah.
I love barley.
I love rigs.
Things that are bonny tend to be favourable.
Yeah.
And I hear Annie's nice as well, so,
Off to a good start.
But the thing is, right, that music is kind of like, right, you're just hearing that, and it's like, you can imagine your old man or your dad or whatever listen to that on a Sunday, it's fine. But if he stopped and he turned and he looked at you right in the eye, you'd be like, ooh. Then because of the music, that with it would become scary.
Yeah.
Don't look someone in the eye listening to this folk stuff. It's creepy.
Don't do that.
No.
Now, there's a twist at the end of this film. I suppose we don't really do spoiler alerts, do we?
Guys, spoilers for episode 1 of The Wicker Man.
But at the end, he was the intended target of these people after all.
Yeah.
Now, looking back through my notes on this film, I'm thinking, well, does some of the stuff they did make any sense? Because he arrives at Summer Isle, this island, on his seaplane, lands, and he wants a dinghy.
Yeah, he accidentally lands in a Monty Python sketch. I need a dinghy. You need one. I said I need a dinghy. And then they make a joke about the Irish.
And the people of the town, they won't let him come down there without I'm not going to give you a dinghy. We need permission from his lordship. This is private property. But our lead character, of course, says, I'm a police officer investigating a missing child. It's a police matter, so I should be allowed. But they weren't letting him in. And that goes against their plan, doesn't it? To actually bring him onto the island.
I think their plan is to wind the ever-loving bejesus
just
out of him.
Just being weird. Just putting him on edge.
There's 2 whole days to go until May Day, so they're just winding him up as it stands, I
Freak
guess.
him out. Yeah.
Sergeant Howie is the man's name, and he's looking for a missing child. Like, this guy is a very interesting protagonist because he's not particularly likeable, and he's a bit of is a prig a right word for him?
A prig?
A prig.
Corn prigs and barley prigs.
But, like, you can tell he's kind of a bit prudish. He's very much, like, just emanating this I don't want to be here energy.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like he's not a cool customer. He's not like your typical horror protagonist who you think is, like, has got this all sorted out. His proceduralness will be his undoing, you get the sense of, almost immediately.
Yes. Also, we're in Scotland. It goes against what I thought in the pre-Swirl, that this would be a very English fate situation. It's still British, mate, for now.
Look at him planting the flag down here, like. And it was good to see him up in Scotland with the good British values, wasn't it, boys and girls?
It's still British, but it's Scottish, which I didn't know it was a kind of everyone would be Scottish in this film, which is a nice thing.
Maybe that's like why it's meant to be truly horrifying, because the idea of if you go to a remote Scottish island, like as a Scottish person, if you went there and they were doing all this weird fucking Southern England summertime fate shite, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's very unsettling.
The way I could tell we're in Scotland was someone says a missing child is always trouble. He says I, and it's saying I a lot instead of yes. And of course, an English Bobby would say yes, cheerio, fish and chips, wouldn't he? But
no, he'd say, what's all this then? That's what he'd say. Like, that was the dead giveaway for me. Not once did he ask what all of this was.
No.
Like, they would have very clearly laid out, well, this is an elaborate ruse to kill you, you massive virgin. Get in the Wicker Man. Like, off we go.
Also, I very much can't do a Scottish accent. I don't know whether that will come up throughout this episode. I'm going to try to just be as neutral as possible. But if I slip into it, I'm so sorry.
I lived in Glasgow for a year. Scotland's got a very, very close place in my heart. Mainly because when I moved to the UK, I moved to Scotland first. That was my first experience. That kind of like, it was almost like the way you temper eggs when you're making scrambled eggs. Like,
right, yeah.
I was tempered. Yeah, exactly. I was tempered slowly into the hot pan of the UK with the cool butter of the Scottish people. So if I slip into a Scottish accent, it comes from a place of complete ignorance.
Same. But I've not been tempered like an egg. So all these old blokes, they pass around the photo of this missing girl and they're like, oh no, we don't recognise her. But they all recognise her mother's name, May Morrison. The girl,
May Morrison, Bonnie May Morrison, sure.
But they say that the girl, Rowan, is not May's daughter. All these old lads are a bit creepy.
They're mysterious old men with turtlenecks, and I don't trust them in their half-moon spectacles.
Very quickly sets up that this island is a bit weird. But quite subtly, well, not even that subtly, it's just that the people are a bit strange so far.
I mean, having had friends who lived on islands and visiting those islands, I know, I'm not speaking for all islands, I'm only speaking for a few very small islands off the coast of Ireland, the west coast of Ireland, but there's a serious island pride, which pertains to the isolation of living on an island, the fact that things are a little bit different and a little bit weird. A mate of mine lived on an island that was inhabited by around 40 people, probably thereabouts.
Wow.
And none of them had insurance for their cars. They all drove around in these like wrecks, basically, and they all drove around drunk. And when the new police officer came in, on the mainland, he's like, right, we're going to sort out all this nonsense happening on the island. When he went over to visit them, they loaded up all their cars on a ferry and circled the island while the policeman was there. And when he left, they brought all their broken, dangerous cars back. And if you end up drinking on such an island, after 2 or 3 drinks, that is usually when people devolve into, there is no leaving the island. And then 2 or 3 more drinks until you're looking out at the sunrise going, we got to get off this fucking island, man. You and me, we're going to get off this fucking island, man. That's what's going to fucking happen.
I wish there's a kind of British remake of Lost that was like that. Whereas
What?
just a little
We're
island
British
off the
people
coast of
on
Scotland.
an Irish island. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. People keep coming out. Did this happen on the Irish island? People keep coming out of their houses, looking out their windows at the policeman. Oh, there's a new man here. Let's all have a big look at him. Let's look. What's he doing? What's he up to?
I mean, there was a man in a lighthouse who I later found out to be a disgraced priest on one of the islands.
Okay.
So I was like, close that window. Don't fucking look out here. Like, there was a lot of chat of harvest, Sam. Did you pick up on this early on?
Yeah, there is a lot of harvest stuff here, which I wasn't immediately. It didn't freak me out in any way.
But is that something from your childhood at all, as a matter of interest, harvest?
Well, I think it might have been, but I can't really remember. It might have been something we did at school. I don't know. We might have brought some tin cans of things to...
Wait, really? Do you know this?
I think so.
What do you know of harvest? Did you go to a Church of England school then?
No.
You went to a school that had a holy element to it at all?
Well, we did sing some hymns and things at some points before lessons. I think that's all gone by the wayside these days, but I do, in my very early school years, there was some singing of Christian songs.
Okay, because Joe was telling me all about harvest, which was a big part of her early school years.
Right. I don't think I was in a specifically Christian school, but there was still some residual Christianiness on it.
Well, any Irish who are listening to this now, strap yourselves in and get all this fucking weird shit that them doing over here in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
Harvest, with the biggest set of fucking inverted commas ever, where you bring in non-perishable tinned foods to give to the elderly.
Well, that's nice, isn't it?
Oh, what, the harvest of tins, is that it?
Yeah, but... All right.
They give it to the elderly, right? And the weird thing is,
it's not ideal, but it's a nice idea.
when I pressed Joe on this, I'm like, the elderly? Like, what do you mean? You just found old people and gave it to them? Like any old people? Like, no. It was like an old folks' home down the road. It's like, do they not have food or something? This was during the Blair years. Surely it was, things were cooking here, And then what they have as well is there's a special ceremony which has harvest songs. And I don't think it's meant to be Christian, but it seems very fucking religious and therefore heathenistic, where there's a ceremonial bread and you do loads of songs around this bread, and there's two breads. There's a fake bread for singing around, and then there's a real bread which you eat afterwards in this kind of strange ritual of carbohydrates.
I don't remember the dual breads situation.
You don't remember getting any bread?
I could have repressed it. I don't know, but I don't remember the bread.
You sing songs to be thankful for the bountiful harvest
while dancing around fake bread.
Songs which include lyrics like "Cauliflower's fluffy and cabbage's green." So, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I kind of feel like if I stumbled into any primary school when I was a little kid in England, I would have been like, no, Jesus, they're singing around bread and it's not even the flesh of Christ.
No, it was just, I do vaguely remember it. I don't remember any of the songs.
Rush it in and be like, Mum, Dad, they were singing and they were dancing over bread and it wasn't even the blessed blood and flesh of our Lord Jesus Christ. And we just felt sorry for them, Sam. We felt really sorry for them. They'd wasted their Sunday.
But they had so many tin cans that, I was a bit jealous. May Morrison runs a sweet shop, and she doesn't believe that her daughter is missing. She's very, very kind of calm and placid about this whole thing, and just she didn't have that daughter. But there is a little girl in there.
A different little girl.
A younger little girl, painting a picture of a hare.
Oh, speaking of hares, did you see them big chalky hairs that she had in the shop?
Looked lovely. They didn't look quite, like what the Lindt chocolatiers would make. Because, of course, the Lindt chocolatiers, they have to make the Lindt chocolate ears on the little rabbits, don't they? Which is a fun little linguistic thing. She's painting a picture of a hare, and she believes that Rowan, the dead girl, is a hare, not a human girl.
That's not fair.
That there ain't fair.
Them chocolate hairs, I was really for them. I was like, yeah, them look good, they look hefty. Until the point where I realised they looked identical to, because they didn't have the Lindt gloss, they weren't
matte.
They were definitely masked. There was no mirror shine on these. It did look a little bit like it was just a dead hair that had been dipped in chocolate, and that was how they got the moulding there. So I'm glad I didn't feast my eyes as much as I would have wanted to.
I did like, you'll stay and have a cup of tea, won't you, Sergeant? That was nice. That's a nice little touch.
Well,
bit of island hospitality. Lovely.
Little Myrtle is kind of in on the whole jag, because she's like, where is she? And she's like, oh yeah, she's out playing in the fields with her friends. And like, will she be coming back for dinner? No, because she's a hare, you fucking idiot. Oh, all right.
Hares do have dinner, actually, but just not at standard tea time.
And not carrot, yeah, it's not a rabbit, okay? Other things, other roots, I'm sure they'd be fine with.
Yeah, he says, like, oh, I like those rabbits there. And May is very, like, angry about this. And no, these are beautiful March hares. All right. Same thing, isn't it?
I mean, nothing like a pedantic legomorph enthusiast, am I right? We go to the Green Man Inn, which has the scariest goddamn sign ever. I was really worried the Green Man was going to come and get me, Sam.
Yeah, it's not... didn't like it. I also didn't like that the policeman, Howie, walks into the pub and all the music stops and everyone stares.
Oh, didn't like that.
And they all just look at him. The landlord of the pub is an interesting character, isn't he?
He really reminds me of your man from, Troll 2, the guy who was stoned out of his mind.
Yeah.
He had that kind of manic intensity of an escaped day patient from a mental asylum.
He's got a sort of campness to his voice and persona, and almost Dracula-like.
Yeah, he's like, oh, why don't you have a nice bonny wee drink?
Hey, that can be arranged.
That can be arranged. My daughter could come around here. No. And I was really, really worried that this was all going to get real sexy real quick, because as soon as they mentioned the landlord's daughter, they're like, the landlord's daughter, I've got a song about that. My dick gets hard like a rock every time I get a talk from the landlord's daughter.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about this.
Yeah.
One, isn't it weird that they're all singing a song about how the lyrics are, and when her name is mentioned, the parts of every gentleman do stand up at attention, the landlord's daughter. So
that was an erection now. They were talking about.
The song is, we all get boners when they say the name of the landlord's daughter, but the landlord's daughter is there while all these people are merrily singing this song, that doesn't seem on, does it?
That's why they have to call her the landlord's daughter. If they invoke her name, they'll all get massive big woodies.
Do you think that's why in Harry Potter no one could say Voldemort? Because it had a similar kind of...
Well, I mean, Ralph Fiennes is too sexy, so if you say his true name, you're just going to get
a big old bonk on.
A big... I don't know why, but finding out older generations names for erections, I love. Yeah. I'll never forget when I heard my mum and dad talk about someone once, and they're like, and he had a stiffy. I'm like, oh, yeah, what?
Stiffy is very funny.
Stiffy?
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that like when you buy the copy of Toy Story from Poundland that's not actually Toy Story? Instead of Woody, it's Stiffy, there's a frog in my sneakers.
The other question I had was that, would you say that this could, in some ways, and we talked about the genre classification of this film, count as a musical? Because everyone has just burst into song. And I know it's diegetic, and they are there singing, and it is based in reality, but a plot point has happened, the landlord's daughter comes down, and then everyone just starts singing about the landlord's daughter. It really felt a bit like a musical at this point.
I think they were using the actual reality of, if life was like a musical, it would be really scary and really jarring and anxiety-inducing, and I guess that's what this is here. Everyone bursting into song about a topic you don't know about. Like, have you ever been to a party or a gathering of people and people are making jokes about a thing you don't know? Imagine everyone sung a song about something you didn't know together.
Everyone's clapping in time and singing all the lyrics, and everyone knows everything, and you're like,
they've all got their own little bits as well. It's like, now you're a bit, that's off-putting, Sam.
Now what Howie does is he stops all of this nonsense. He kind of taps on the bar and stops it. But what I would do in that situation was I would pretend that I knew the words and just kind of mouth something and dance along, and just try and fit in. He doesn't do that.
I thought what he was just going to do was his late game tactic, which was to sing his own Christian songs, and they'd be like, the landlord's daughter gets me wet. He'd be like, abide with me, fast falls the eventide.
It's classic football match behaviour, isn't it? If the opposition is singing a song, you just try and sing your song louder, but he's got the issue that it's an away game for him, and his section
section of the stadium is much smaller, so not quite as loud.
And then his section of the stadium is asked to leave, and everyone boos when they do. So he's having a wee supper, which looks fucking disgusting. And he's like, broad beans should not be turquoise. And I'm very, very much in agreement about that. I will say, though, his snobbery about canned vegetables, you can take that out the fucking back door. Burn him alive as far as I'm concerned, Christian or not, like.
Well, I mean, he says, like, yeah, they're from a can, and maybe that's because the harvest failed, so they had to get some tin cans from a local school.
Did you not write your letters to your local old people describing how nice it is to meet them and give them the bread? Like, you've missed out on harvest.
I really liked no apples. On an island famous for its fruits and vegetables. On an island famous for its fruits and vegetables, it's very clearly ADR recorded on later.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Add a little bit of extra plot that you just squeeze into just a bit where he's not even on camera saying it, just to go, oh yeah, okay, they normally have a lot of fruit and vegetables on this island.
I would like to go to an island famous for its fresh fruit and vegetables.
Oh, also, there's the Harvest Festival photos every year, and one of them is missing. That comes up later. And
this made me want to play a point-and-click game set in the Wicker Man world. You know? It feels like this movie has inspired a lot of spooky kind of adventure mystery games on PCs and whatnot over the years.
Definitely. I really love the answer to what happened to last year's photo. It got broke.
Oh, that's all right then.
Fair enough. All right, cool.
When she's walking away, the landlord's daughter, and she's like, I'll get you the peaches and cream. And then he's like, from a can, no doubt. And then she's like, food isn't everything. And I'm like, all right.
For you, it isn't. All right.
I mean, for you, it isn't. On your island, legitimately famous for its fruits and vegetables. People like that end up eating microwave meals all the time if you think food isn't everything. If you pretend that food is everything, that means you'll eat well.
I mean, imagine coming from this island, given the circumstances, and saying food isn't everything. Food's your main thing. That's like you're willing to kill people for some bloody food. So don't come around here saying food isn't everything, all right?
Yeah, that's like going to a Catholic service and saying, oh, come on, shame isn't everything. I'm like, that's literally the main thing. It's the only thing. Come on.
So everything's felt a bit weird so far. It's a bit strange. But how he steps outside and everyone's just shagging out in the field /street/dark. There's a naked woman crying, holding onto a tombstone. It's all a bit strange, isn't it?
And then they start singing a sexy song as Christopher Lee's character is pimping out young boys. To the goddess of Aphrodite, I put my hand on her gi, and she said diddly-dee.
Yeah, so Lord Summerisle,
she gave me a kiss, and I said, I'm not cool with this.
He offers a young lad to Willow, and I hope no one at home got a boner there, because that is the name of the landlord's daughter, Willow McGregor.
Sorry, I just hit the table. Sorry, I just got... My apologies. Oh, I can give you some hot gossip.
Sure. Oh, please do.
My dad, I told you my dad had all the scuttlebutt about this.
Hit me with some scuttle.
I asked him there, I said, Dad, we're doing the Wicker Man for Cinema Swirl. You met a member of the cast, didn't you? And he said, yes, Ingrid Pitt signed my copy of this scary film. So, First of all, there's the scuttlebutt right there. If you're ever in Westmeath, my dad has got a signed copy of The Wicker Man.
Nice.
And I said, did she have any interesting stories or anything about the movie?
Yeah.
Get this, folks, okay? Not huge, but she had a strange accent. Also, she liked Irish men. She had a huge minder. I met her at the record fair in Wembley.
She had a huge minder?
Minder, a big bloke to look after her.
Oh, okay. I didn't know whether that was some sort of Irish slang for something else. But she literally had a big, looker after her with her.
Oh, a big minder? What's that like?
I don't know, but just the way you said it. She had a weird accent and a massive minder.
You know what it reminds me of? I'm not sure if it's just a Lincolnshire thing, because since I've left Lincolnshire, I've not heard it, but I used to hear people going, oh, he's having a right Mardy.
Oh, no, Mardy is like a, I guess, Midlandsy thing, maybe.
Do you use it in Nottingham as well?
It's in Nottingham, I think. Like,
it's not like Mardi Gras, like, it's not a fun, there's no beads or anything like that.
It's having a strop, getting all upset, you're being a bit Mardy.
I feel like there's a lot of great words. I feel like we're missing analogues for in Ireland, even though I believe that Ireland has got a better sounding slang. But I feel like you've got like 20 words to say he's pissed off, and we've got one. I'm telling you,
Mardy's a good one. Having a Mardy,
having a big old
Mardy bum.
Like.
You know Mardy bum. The term Mardy bum
Mardy bum.
Mardy bum. You're being a bit of a Mardy bum.
Oh, I've not heard that. So I thought you were saying Mardydom, like martyrdom. Like, you know,
No.
this is like his state of being Mardiness.
There's an Arctic Monkeys song called Mardy Bum, which is an Alan Mardy Bum. It's just all about, you know, someone being a bit grumpy.
It's great, isn't it? That's music, apparently.
That is music. So, he offers the young lad to Willow and also says, make sure you're ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow, the day of death and rebirth, and a somewhat more serious offering than tonight. Yes, that's what's going to happen.
And this is the slightly longer version. Let's just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
I put my hand up her skirt. Do you mind if I wear my shirt?
While some folks are singing and there's like folk music and shagging and snails wriggling around, Christopher Lee is just monologuing about how he would love to be an animal.
There is nothing more pure in life than the sight of two mollusks fucking each other's brains out. He loves it.
It's all proper weird, isn't it? It does feel strange.
Him being right up close to these snails banging, going, great.
Oh, hey, children dancing around the maypole. Did you have maypoles? No.
Not at all, of course not. No. What we had was guerrilla warfare in 1916 to drive the hated British from our capital.
All right. We had maypoles, which just a big pole with some like ribbon coming down off it.
This is great, right? I feel like we have spent pretty much the last 50 or so episodes about talking about different parts of Irish culture, and in one episode we've done all of English culture, which is Morris dancing and maypoles.
Tin cans for harvest.
Until earlier I thought that maypole and Morris dances was the same thing.
Right, no.
It's different, is it?
Different things, I think. I don't know for sure.
If a Morris dancer started jingly jangling near a maypole and he grabbed to it, people would be like, whoa there, that's too much culture. Slow your fucking roll, mate. Like
fusion dancing going on there.
Yeah.
Slow down.
I was led to believe that this maypole here, and this is great watching with Jo, who's an expert on all things fate, like,
yeah.
She was saying that this was a really, like, a distressing maypole. This was, like, a mad maypole, because they just did it any old which way, and it wasn't a pattern, and it was all tangled and wrong, and the guy's singing a weird song where he's like, trees have eggs, and it's like, what? You know, that's not what maypole's meant to be, kind of symmetrical and nice. It forms a nice pattern at the end.
I think that's the idea. I've never danced around a maypole. I don't know if I've ever seen a maypole. I just know it's part of my culture somewhere.
I like to think that maypoles are just naturally occurring phenomenon around England and Scotland and Wales. They're just like, they sprout out of the ground. And whether or not people decide to frolic around them is up to them, I guess.
The ribbon is naturally occurring. It just kind of comes out of it. I didn't have the lessons where you go to school and the teacher says, now, what is the maypole, everyone? And you put your hand up and you say, it's a big willy. It's a big phallic symbol of a willy. And
yes, very good.
About. Yeah, well done.
I mean,
correct
you didn't
answer.
take phallic imagery 101 then in your GCSEs, did you?
No, and neither did Howie, because he's having a proper mardy about the fact that young girls are being taught about big phallic willies out in the field.
You should only be teaching them about small willies. Little wee willies, that's all why are they learning about? And just like that, he became Irish. But there is a conspiracy of silence and cruelty that's pervasive, even with the kids, where he's like, what is this in here? That is a real little beetle that we've tethered up to kill itself on a nail. It's like, why did you do it then?
Yeah, really weird. You just tied a beetle to a nail within her desk for some reason. And Howie is quite rightly disturbed. Like, what are you doing, girl? Why did you, why have you done that? Ugh.
There's something really like, cruelty to animals full stop is an obviously horrible thing.
Yes.
But wanton cruelty to insects and stuff is something that goes on. So it makes me so creeped out. Like,
look, you know my policy on spiddly diddlies, right?
But you wouldn't want to see one get tortured. You want to see it get in a cab and drive away.
But at school, there would be people who would get daddy long legs and pluck their legs off and things like that, and that's horrible behaviour.
I mean, can't feel it. It doesn't matter.
As spiddly and as diddly as they are, they don't deserve that kind of treatment.
It is kind of I'm by no means a religious person at all, he says, vehemently defending Catholicism.
Yeah.
But it's just wrong, innit, to do that to a poor old little creature like that.
I would say so, yeah.
There's more then than there is of you, and if I know my Twilight Zone, and I do, they're all going to gang up on you if you're doing that, so cut it out.
And I do not want to be ganged up upon by Spidleys or Beetles.
Imagine if they got the vote.
Imagine that. Imagine how things would be if spiders could vote.
That was the cut verse from the John Lennon song. Imagine if spiders could vote. I bet they'd vote for dicks. Imagine all the Beatles.
So Howie's trying to see if these girls recognise Rowan. They're saying that they don't, but he checks the register, and I tell you what, you can't falsify a school register.
Yeah, he's fucking Ofsted right here. Like, you know, there's no power higher on this earth.
Rowan is in there, and he says, "You are liars. You are despicable little liars," which I think is very cutting. That's quite harsh to say, but they are. And they're still in denial that Rowan exists.
He goes to the graveyard to try and find the tombstone, but it's a heathen graveyard full of trash and women breastfeeding with eggs.
Yeah, I couldn't wrap my head around the woman breastfeeding holding an egg. I didn't know what the egg meant. I understand what breastfeeding is. That wasn't weird, but the egg. Holding an egg.
Eggs are really great, like, you know, I mean, I'm here for that, like,
I like eggs. I like eggs.
I often will just hold an egg around the house, like,
yeah.
Not for long though. It will be eaten pretty much quickly thereafter. I think what that was that one was showing a great deal of restraint that I personally lack.
It's nice to hold an egg, isn't it?
They're very nice.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It's a nice weight of thing to hold.
And also, there is a power in the responsibility of holding an egg.
Oh yeah.
Because in your hand you hold a potential yucky disaster.
If you fuck this up, it's game over, and
That's it.
Does feel quite powerful. Yeah.
It is the most unpredictable food object that you can hold in your hand.
Why does Howie fashion a makeshift cross? Is it just to bring a bit of Christianity to this graveyard?
It's literally that, yeah. I think he wants there to be, like, a little bit of the old Jesus here, you know? He's doing one for the team here. He's doing a little bit of recon work for his buddy Christ.
So it's established that Rowan's dead because he's found her grave, and there's trees planted on each grave, which I think is quite nice.
That's a lovely idea. Yeah, I'd love that.
That's great. I'd love to have my body fuel a tree.
There is a place, I'm not sure if we've talked about it before, or a very morbid film review podcast where we talk about life after death every other episode. But there is a place, I think somewhere in, like, it's Copenhagen or somewhere like that, where you can get buried in a special grave and they use the power from your body decomposing to light a light. And the graveyard is just like this beautiful garden full of all these lights, and every light is linked to a person. And
I like that idea.
That's such a lovely idea. And after a while, you know, however many dozens and dozens of years it is, the light eventually runs out as your body is completely decomposed. And it's a lovely idea.
I do like that. That's very nice. That's not what they do here. They plant trees, which is similarly quite nice.
Yeah, but then they put blipping foreskin on it or whatever it is. Ew!
No, that's the poor wee lassie's navel string, of course.
What the fuck is navel string? Is that an umbilical cord?
Yeah.
Because I googled it and all I got was a bunch of Mars Volta songs.
It's properly gross, isn't it? A tree with an umbilical cord hanging off it.
I think the only thing that could be more gross is, like, watching, like, large kebab meat and chips get tipped onto a tray. Like, that's the only thing that's more upsetting than a fucking umbilical cord hanging there.
A very similar visual. I actually googled navel string as well. One thing I saw was I think a Pinterest or something of someone who had a tattoo of that tree with the umbilical cord hanging off it.
What a shit fucking tattoo.
Terrible tattoo. What's that tree there? What does that mean? Oh, it's from the Wicker Man. Oh, okay. What's that little thing hanging off it? Oh, it's just a dead girl's umbilical cord.
So,
wait, hold on. Oh, no. I was going to say, like, whose umbilical cord is it? Because she's alive. But the umbilical cord doesn't...
Wait a minute, Sam! What? Where's yours? Oh my god, it's gone! What the fuck?
I forgot that it doesn't stay with you into your later life. That's one of the first things they get rid of, isn't it? The umbilical cord.
It is. I forgot. I mean, I kind of feel like I would have liked to keep mine just for a little bit, just to opt in, see if I wanted a horrible snake tail coming out of my stomach. But, I was overruled.
Can you keep it?
I mean...
Can you just snip it on one end and just go around with it? Has anyone done that? For Guinness World Records or something?
I imagine it would just get infected and stuff.
Yeah, it would go wrong.
When you've got an outie belly button, that's when it's not been cut the whole way properly.
Okay. Right. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's other reasons why it can happen, but that is a reason it can happen. Yeah, so, I don't know. I don't want to find out, because if I find out anything about it, I'll probably be disgusted.
Now, Kevin, I've heard of having a frog in your throat, but what I haven't heard of is putting a frog in your mouth to cure a sore throat. Is that a thing?
I don't know why, but I was so disturbed that there was a frog this small. Like, I didn't like how small this... I was like,
You've seen small frogs, though, right?
Yeah, but he was so little to fit in the bonny wee mouth of a wee little child.
Yeah.
Of a Wayne, no less.
I'll tell you what, just one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen in my life, an image that sticks with me.
Well, I mean, it is Spooky Swirl, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Spooky Swirl. A frog died on our garden patio when I was younger.
Oh no!
And then it just decomposed where it stood, and then there was just a frog skeleton there for a bit.
I didn't really see. No badger came hedgehog came and polished that off.
It just maybe they did, but they left the skeleton, and there was just a fully formed frog skeleton just there for a bit.
You know what that is, right? Because I mean, we had frogs and stuff die back in Horncastle, but we had a obese hedgehog that would come in and fucking mill everything into his gob like he was a machine. But I think what it might be, because you're in Nottingham, all the wildlife is like Robin Hood, that canny fox, isn't it, and all of his animal mates.
Yes.
And they're off gallivanting with that Lion King instead of actually being there doing the job and doing the business of being a woodland mammal.
So no one cleaned it up. So there was just a frog skeleton there for a bit, which is very
fucking
scary
ridiculous.
When you see that as a child. Ugh.
More cuts, that's all it is, Sam. It's just more cuts. Not even the woodland mammals are getting the right funding that they need from local government. Frog in the mouth will not cure a sore throat. However, you, loyal listener, who's made it this far into the review of The Wicker Man, I know you're expecting it, and here it is. I have got legitimate, brilliant ways to cure a sore throat.
Hit me with them.
Okay. Sore throat cure number 1. And this can be if it's the roof of your mouth, the back of your throat, all of the throat, wherever it is. Salt and vinegar crisps.
Salt and vinegar crisps.
Salt and vinegar crisps. I know what you're thinking. Oh, I've got a tangy sore throat.
Yeah.
Why would I want to add more tang? Easy. The high salt content. The high acid content.
I thought you were going to say the high vinegar content.
The high acid and salt content destroy the germs, and they actually help the healing process. Second thing
crisps
which you can do.
Crisps are good for me.
Sam,
thank you, doctor.
8 glasses of crisps a day is what I'm telling you. Number 2.
Yeah.
Coarse wholemeal brown bread. I'm talking a proper dense soda affair, not a flimsy, pre-made slice. I'm talking about a proper rough old rye type of a thing will work.
Yeah.
A thick wholemeal bread. You eat that, something you have to chew a lot, literally by eating and chewing it, and it's so spongy and thick and coarse, it will literally scrub your throat clean of the streptococcus, which is what gives you the bloody sore throat in the first place. And if you've not got a cold and you've not got a full
it'll clear your throat of what?
If you've not got a streptococcus, it's the nasty. Oh, hey now. Hey. That's the other word that we have for boner. It's streptococcus. So there you go. There's 2. If you're reaching for the ice cream, it won't do you much. It'll give you momentary relief. Ice cream is bad though long term, because any dairy will make it worse. It'll give you more mucus. Do those things. There you go. My dad may not have been able to provide you with really great tidbits about the Wicker Man, but through me, he has offered you great tidbits about sore throat remedies.
Nah, just put a frog in there, mate. Sorted.
No, I'll stick with my frog, mate. It's what I know.
So Howie's gone to the records office, I guess, to try and find a death certificate for Rowan. But everyone always wants permission from Lord Summerisle
Yeah,
chat about
lordly
anything.
approval required.
Yeah, and there's no death certificate. There's no record of Rowan's death. So, oh, God.
Sam, he basically does not have the required permissions to access these folders, I believe is what's happened here. He needs administrator approval.
It does feel a bit point and click, doesn't it? Like, you have to go somewhere to then come back and find more clues. Because he goes to the local chemist/photographer and asks him if he recognises the girl because he took the photo.
No.
No, I don't. All right, cool. That was a good scene. He doesn't have a copy of the Harvest Festival photo or anything like that. He doesn't keep copies. So, but he does. It turns out he does. But, no. Naked women dancing in a circle around a fire, jumping over it and stuff, talking about how the flame inside you makes a baby strong. What did you reckon to that?
I reckon that is probably the biggest banger on the soundtrack. That's a great song. Real nice little ditty there. I mean, jumping over fire. I mean, I'm not one to judge because obviously if I was to jump over a fire naked, I've got a dangle issue here that these young women obviously aren't going to be dealing with. So,
all right, no need to brag, mate.
I'm just like, I'm not sure I'm in the position to be like, no, that's a terrible idea, you don't do it. Because, I mean, if I didn't have a penis, I'd probably be jumping over fires every other day. That literally is stopping me from doing that.
It's the idea, and I don't mean to sound crass or childish, that when they jump over the fire force might literally go in the right direction there to impregnate them with the fire baby.
So you're saying like the fanny will be dipped with the wick of fire?
Yeah.
I don't think that's I think it's more of a general like jump over the...
I didn't know whether it was like literally if you get the angle right, some of the fire energy will impregnate you with fire.
Crystal Lee's going to open the window. You're doing it wrong! The flames are meant to go right up there. Closer.
That's what I thought it might have been. I don't know.
It's a good thing you weren't raised pagan, is all I'm saying. Like, actually, wait, no, you kind of technically were, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. I don't know what I was. I was just raised bloody British, mate. So, he's finally going to meet Lord Summerisle. In terms of, I mean, we've had Christopher Lee say some shit about snails beforehand, but this is kind of his first line to Howie.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I trust the sight of the young people refreshes you. Fucking hell. That's a strong start to a conversation, isn't it?
Hello, I like naked children, and you? You kind of front-loaded the conversation here, Chief. I kind of feel we're onto a no-go topic pretty much straight away.
Yeah, to justify, like, hey, why are those children naked? Christopher Lee is saying, yeah, mate, but it's too dangerous for them to jump through a fire with your clothes on, isn't it? So, of course they're naked, you idiot. Stupid idiot.
And pretty much straight away he's accusing him of murder, and he's saying murder is obviously what's happened, heathen murder. We're very super duper religious here, Sergeant Howie. No murders whatsoever. Who can be on your way now? They are naked! Naked! Like, I love that the naked comes after your murderer, and they're naked!
Ugh, gross. What
of the true God? It turns out he's dead and he blew it.
He's dead. He can't complain. He had his chance, and in modern parlance, blew it. That's a good line to say. God's fucking dead, mate. He had his chance. He fucked it.
Do you remember what very early Swirl episode where we got introduced to the phrase "the parlance of our times"?
No, I can't remember now.
Big Lebowski.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what Christopher Lee is saying here. In modern parlance, he blew it, mate. He fucked up. Oh, also, another great turn of phrase. What girl would not prefer the child of a god to that of some acne-scarred artisan?
Ooh, all right. Having a go at the artisans. Someone didn't like his small batch gin he got for Christmas.
I mean, Howie's very upset by the fact that, like, Christopher Lee has just said, God's dead, mate. Because he stands up, get a quick zoom on his face. What? I love that. Love things like that.
I love this so much because it rings very true to me that, like I found when I was growing up, the level of discourse about religion and spirituality was so fucking jilted and so like constrained, and like if you talked about, like if you just weren't saying God, I love Catholic Mass, you would get this reaction, like, what is the true God, and I kind of love how they just represent, like, can you imagine this movie in the 70s when it came out? Like, this was, I'm pretty sure, banned in Ireland, and like, can you imagine like old people seeing this, like religious people? This is like as shocking as a snuff movie in many respects. sex because of its flagrant depiction of, like, non-Christianity, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, being not really a Christian, I know it's a running joke that I'm a Protestant, but I'm not. It's not really a thing. It doesn't really affect me. But I can imagine if you are of a religious disposition, this could really, take you aback, especially back in,
Yeah, this movie would be a lot
50 years
scarier.
ago? 40 years ago?
45 thereabouts, probably thereabouts now, yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I think this movie would be a lot scarier if you were older and more pious.
Yes,
So,
I imagine so.
When you get your racist old nan, right, at Christmas, give her fucking both barrels of the Wicker Man. Boom!
Alright, so let me try and understand what's happening here. By worshipping the old gods, Christopher Lee's dad was a fruit man, like loved growing vegetables and fruits. By worshipping the old gods, they can grow special strains of fruit, and all the people on the island have embraced paganism as a result of this. They think by worshipping the old gods, special fruit comes out, and that's why everyone is pagan. But how he's upset, he's like, you're the subjects of a Christian country.
I mean, I don't know if Lord Summerall is going to show up to the House of Lords, and vote, knowing full well that he'd be doing so under the eyes of a different god to the ones that he likes, I'm not sure if his lordship had considered that.
No, but it's all about fruit, it's all about veg, it's all about crops, mate.
I love when he's like, you're a pagan. He's like, how dare you? I'm not a pagan, I'm a heathen.
He also says it's been a great pleasure meeting a Christian copper, which is a nice little thing, isn't it?
Oh man, we have to mention how great he is, but Christopher Lee is just fucking amazing in this.
He's wonderfully kind of smug
and weird,
yeah, like grand,
and so confident. Like he's just alarmingly at ease with himself in this very strange place.
Charming and disarming all at once is what he is.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a wee exhumation of the old body that's been buried.
Oh yeah, he's been very casually given permission by Lord Summerall. He's like, I thought I'd already given you permission. Go ahead, exhume the dead girl.
Take as many bodies up as you want. Like.
Do it. Yeah.
Turns out it's a hair.
There's a hair in there. That's not fair.
It's just in there. That's what it is, really. It'd be funny if it was just hair in there, like everything else had died, but just a head of hair was left over.
How his response is to throw this at Christopher Lee and the school teacher from earlier. But I found this in Rowan's grave. All right, mate. Disrespectful to the hair.
The set of pipes on Lee, though, when he's fucking singing, like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah, he can absolutely sing. I'm glad he channeled that into metal later in life as well.
Yeah, I'm really glad in his later years he did embrace us with the musical side, because he's clearly got the chops, let me tell you something. 100%. So we've decided to go for a little bit of a snoop around the photo lab, and he finds some pics, which I just love, like, this is the old days where you didn't have an app, you had to actually physically make the picture to see it,
Yeah. Have you ever been in a dark room?
No.
I have.
Every room I've been into has always been full of light, But
a photography dark room, have you ever developed a picture?
No, never.
In college, I did photography, and they taught us the antiquated art of actually developing pictures.
Oh, so you could be like proper Peter Parker.
Yeah, in like that with the red light and dipping it in that liquid.
I imagine between the red light and the chemicals, that room is basically just like the physical embodiment of a nightmare and a headache.
Yeah, it's very creepy, but very strange to actually be in that room doing that kind of thing. But thank God it was just really rubbish, amateurish photos that I was developing that I'd taken, rather than anything,
not like
sordid
evidence.
Or creepy. Yeah, no. But, I'm glad I've had that experience, because I think that's going to be, obviously, dying out in the not-too-distant future.
Well, I know there was a big hoopla and rulia-boolia on Twitter when the new season of Stranger Things, that's season 3, for those listening in the future, when that came out and had many scenes in a dark room, and all the kids were like, what is it? Why is he in a room? Did they not have fucking TikTok back in the 80s? No, you fucking morons. So we can look forward to more of that, I guess.
But if he finds the photo, and we've got Rowan standing amongst failed crops. The crops have failed.
In front of loads of tins of raw beans and pointing at her with a big thumbs up, like, so.
And I think he exclaims to himself, or he says this in his head, like, sacrifice! Like that. He realises, like, what's going on here. Rowan's going to be sacrificed so that there can be a bountiful harvest next year. Ah, okay.
And then back when he's trying to have a little bit of a sleep, he's tossing and turning, and next door, there's a naked lady singing, please come and have some sex. He's really, he really displays here
Yeah.
how ineffectual and how completely useless you are as a human being if you can't just have an old wank, because he's literally there thrashing about going, no, oh, just have an old toss, mate, you'll be grand. Just calm down.
He doesn't want to do it. And so there's a very long scene of her dancing around nude and Howie looking kind of confused and then drawn in by it.
In this as well, this is another bit of info that I know, not from my dad, from elsewhere, but apparently in this extended sequence of her dancing around, there's extra bits that were added in, and they used a body double, which the lady was upset with the actor because the body double's bottom looked completely different to hers, and she thought it was very noticeable.
Okay.
I watched this scene very closely, I didn't notice any... I mean, it was a very convincing double, is all I'm saying.
Right. I'll have to go back and look at it more.
I think we'll just have to watch it,
That the bottoms are correct. An interesting fact about this, the landlord's daughter, portrayed by Britt Ekland, who's a famous actress and model, I think.
Yeah.
But she's Swedish, and there was an actor who did the voiceover of the speaking voice, and also a singing voiceover. So none of these things are actually said or sung by Britt Ekland.
So are you telling me this character is played by 3 different people, essentially?
Yes. That was
I think she might be on par with Darth Vader. There's no one else who's got that many people working to make one role come off.
Yeah, it's really interesting that none of the stuff that comes out of her mouth is her saying it. It's all overdubbed, even when she's singing or when she's speaking. Yeah, there you go.
How about that?
Yeah.
So he decides to have a bit of a research day at the local library about May Day, and he's like, ugh, sounds horrible, let's leave. But they've only bloody broken his plane boat.
And they've all got horrible animal masks on.
Just like in The Shining.
Yes, and I don't like it, and masks are scary, and I mean that's the most obvious thing I've ever said in my entire life. But
animal people are scary as well, aren't
masks, they? Yes,
unless it's a baseball furry, that's okay. But other than that, it's very scary.
Yeah, it's plane got drained of all its fuel probably, so he's stuck there. He was going to go back to the mainland to report his suspicions.
Yeah, I'm going to come back with loads of police. Can you drive me to my boat, please? So there's a big weird party going on, and Howie has vowed to search every goddamn house to try and find the missing girl.
Yes.
And then they try to knock him out with sleep, and they're like, use the hand of glory. And he's had a little drink, and he's lying down, and they put out the scariest candle in the world.
Oh, there's the hand candle. The
handle.
Yes. 4 candles. It's this weird hand candle that's supposed to... what's that supposed to do to him? Knock him out?
Make him go to sleep.
But it doesn't work. And what he does is he uses that...
Don't get me wrong, Sam. Get me a Glade Sensations. I'll be out like a light, give me a Zen Glade Experiences candle. I will be out like a light.
Also, I want to touch on an important thing here, that there's some shots in this film, while he's searching every house, that are from Howie's point of view of local villagers either making big, weird bread men or salmon costumes, and it just suddenly, the film for a few seconds turns into a fun documentary about a quirky,
subculture,
island. Yeah, and it's nice.
Louis Theroux's there, why do you make these bread men?
It's just a nice salmon costume. I love it. It's great.
Do you think you're really a salmon? Really?
But he knocks out and ties up the landlord and nicks his fool costume, because he's done some research into this whole May Day celebration, and there's a fool is a big part.
He's done research, and he's literally like, right, I'm going to go undercover at Romeo and Juliet, and I'm going to knock out Romeo and do all his fucking lines. He's got the hardest job, because he's there. He has to do all the dancing, and he's very obviously not the guy, because Christopher Lee's like, come on, cut some capers, man.
Well, and all of the ladies are dancing around him, wanting to get hit on the bum by the fool.
He has to spank them with his fool stick.
Is that a tradition, that ladies get hit on the bum by a fool?
What the fuck are you asking me for? You're the heathen. Look, Sam, the only Catholic tradition involving hitting people on the bum is when we institutionally beat children for literally hundreds of years.
All right?
That's it. That's all it is, okay?
Okay. Hey, the villagers have some swords, and they're all saying chop. And they're all putting their heads in some interlocked swords.
And it's not because there's chops for dinner. It's a different...
chop. chop, chop.
That's what I chant when it's chops for dinner here, like.
Yeah. What do you want for tea, son? Chop, 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 chop. It's
And then
my
you're like-
favourite.
It's Brexit, and like you're paying for the bones, so we're not going to have chops. Chops are the most. I've not had chops since the 90s. There's a bygone era, like chops. Can I buy some bones, please? Because I like how it looks. Yeah.
So everyone must put their heads in the interlocked swords. It's a game of chance, apparently. And at some point the music stops and they appear to slice a girl's head off. But they don't really. It's all a bit of fun. Okay, cool. Fun May Day celebrations. They roll some ale into the sea to appease the sea god. The sea god likes a drink.
Is it like a thing where it's like it's not proper, not proper fate unless you've pretended to kill someone, like,
There must be a thing. That game was genuinely quite scary. The idea that you've got these swords and at some point you will just kill whoever's left here when the music stops.
I wonder how many like massacres and like uprisings and insurrections have been caused by someone accidentally being killed at a Fate game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff in the fiction of this film is done to just be weird to freak out Howie, and how much of it is actually their full-on traditions that they have.
Oh, I think this is full on. This is the tradition.
They do this every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are well-worn costumes.
Yeah.
Ale in the sea, though, as you were saying, that is kind of a distressing sight.
Seems wasteful.
I mean, if it was Pepsi Max going into the sea, I imagine it would have like reacted very violently with the salt water and created like a large mass of foam, kind of like the end of Akira or something like that.
That would have looked quite cool. Yeah. Ale in the sea. And Christopher Lee quite nicely says, and now for our more dreadful sacrifice when we kill a human being.
Well, at least he's not gussying it up. He's not, letting anyone think it's anything it's not.
And we finally meet Rowan. Rowan's here. Howie sees her, runs off, sets her free, escapes with her. End of the movie, credits roll. We're all good. Off we go, back home, Wicker Man.
Kicks a couple of animal people into the sea, like, right,
fuck up.
Punches Christopher Lee, knocks him out. Lights out, Summer Isle.
Now, we've talked about music in this, and it's mostly like kind of trippy folk music, but this, we get some electric guitar.
Oh,
we get what I would say is almost Captain Beefheart-like guitar playing here, and it's kind of all over the shop, and it's weird and disturbing, but it's fucking cool. This, when they're running through caves, the guitar there, chef's kiss. That's some great stuff.
So he gets caught. It's a big ruse.
It's a ruse.
It's a trap of sorts.
Rowan's just led him right back out the other side of the caves, back into the hands of Christopher Lee and his lovely yellow jumper.
And he's like, haha, this was all a big trap, you big virgin. Now it's time to unveil. He's like, you're the right kind of adult. He's like, the right kind of adult? And like, yeah.
You've not been shagging, mate.
You're a virgin. You're also an important man. You're also an outsider. You represent, kings or whatever they're saying. Because
you came here of your own free will. You're an idiot.
Like, in fairness, we'd be idiots not to sacrifice you. You have to understand here, like,
Yeah. Howie gets very... I mean, obviously he's going to be upset that this is happening, but, like, even if you do kill me now, it is I who will live again, not your damned apples.
If you strike me down, I'll come back with great vengeance. And then he's like, no, killing me won't bring back your damn apples. And then they put a hat on him that is full of apples. He's like, oh, no, the apples,
He keeps talking about it's not going to bring back the apples. He's trying to convince the villagers that the gods aren't real, that the crops will fail again.
And you can see Christopher Lee just fucking jonesing for an apple. He fucking really wants one. He'll do anything for one.
And he says, if the crops fail, Summer Isle, the next year your people will kill you. You'll be dead, Summer Isle, because you'll be a bigger sacrifice. I'm not sure where he's got that from.
Yeah, because Summer Isle's
There's probably somewhere between some police officer from the mainland and our Lord Summer Isle.
I mean, in fairness, like, Lord Summer Isle's like, I think you're wrong there, mate. You're mistaken. 1, I'm the opposite of an outsider. My dad literally founded this place. 2, I fucking have sex more than a zoo animal. So, like, literally, come on now.
I don't fit the bill. So
I do not fit the bill.
I do fit the bill of this duck mask that I've got on, but that's irrelevant because I had that specially made.
I feel like if you did, like, in a game of this, try to sacrifice them, it would just come up with an error message saying, like, no, you're not meant to do this, Do you need to see the tutorial again, like,
So, he's been led up to something at the top of a hill. What could it be? Oh, it's our main character, quite late on in the film. Oh God! Oh Jesus Christ! Oh God! No, Christ!
It's the new Alton Towers roller coaster! Ah!
It's the Wicker Man, everyone. We get to see the Wicker Man.
Oh, Sam, seriously, for a Patreon exclusive, we need to go to Alton Towers and go on the Wicker Man rides.
Is there a Wicker Man ride?
Yes!
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do it.
didn't know there's legitimately a
Let's go on
Wicker Man
Towers.
ride.
If we could somehow spin that off into content, that would be fantastic. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Let's get a couple of GoPros and go get sick on a fucking roller coaster.
Hopefully it won't be as harrowing as this, because it is scary when he's being led up to the thing and how...
Jesus Christ! Oh! And of course, now, I love about this, the fact it's a big physical Wicker Man,
Yeah.
Nowadays, if they were to make this movie, it'd be like
a CGI, wouldn't it?
it'd be a Vine or something. It'd be, oh no, Jesus Christ! Oh no, Jesus Christ!
Oh, okay.
Oh no, Jesus Christ! It'd be really annoying, stop it, The old ways are best sometimes.
There's animals in there, that's sad.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. I bet you'll want now, that's the thing, right? You always have to be like, oh, I'll not want the Lord's my shepherd, but be honest with yourself, you'd want to not be in a flaming Wicker Man right now. That's lying, you're going to hell.
Ye shall all die, a curse. They set the Wicker Man ablaze. They're all happily singing and dancing as he's burning alive. He's praying to God. It is very scary and sad and weird. And then the head collapses. It reveals the sun.
And the screaming animals as well. That's what really gets me.
We go out on a nice sunset. So it's quite a nice ending to the film. And that's the end of the Wicker Man. Corn rigs and barley rigs. This film was weird.
I feel like I get this great sense from you, Sam, that you don't know whether to make heads nor tails of this yet.
I don't. My immediate feeling was that I was kind of put off and put ill at ease by this, and I still feel that about it.
Because when I first saw this, I was like, I really thought it wasn't what I was led to believe it was. Because
what did you think it was?
I thought it was more of a straight up scary horror movie, and I mean, part of me will come to its defense and say it's kind of like a Shining type of a horror in that it's more about this great sense of unease. But in isolation, there's bits of this movie which I don't think are there's so much of this is just kind of like guy in a weird place, and discovering it slowly.
I think that's the whole film, isn't it? We've mentioned this kind of offhandedly, but the kind of point-and-click adventure nature of it does feel like you're just going through and slowly learning more and more and more and more, and then it's really fucked up, and now you burn to death. The end.
You got the bad ending.
Yes, maybe there's a good ending where he joins in and has a fun time and eats some lovely harvest crops.
As we know from some of the other cuts of this movie, there are other endings. The other endings are just much shorter. Like, you immediately get caught and sent to the burning Wicker Man. That is the ending instead.
Off you go. There were no bees.
No bees.
I was led to believe there would be bees. Nicolas Cage tricked me.
Are you excited for the Nicolas Cage movie over on Swirl now? Because that's next on the chopping block, isn't it?
Yes, I think this will be a very interesting Swirl and Swirl combo in terms of watching a film and watching its remake that are so opposed in terms of critical reception.
And fundamentally unable to be reconciled with each other, because I love this movie. It's so weird, it's unsettling,
really weird.
And it's it shows that you can create horror and you can create, I mean, the thing is this was rated 18s and banned and put on lists and all that jazz.
There's a lot of nudity.
It's because of the nudity, that's it. It's because of the nudity, and they're saying that there is no God or whatever, God's dead. It's not because it's a nasty movie or anything like that.
No.
It is actually, by today's standards, if you've watched an episode of Game of Thrones, you've seen as much tits as there is in this movie,
There's not a drop of gore in this, I don't think.
I mean, a guy gets bopped really unconvincingly with a candlestick. and there is, I'll say it now, Sam, the scariest candle we've ever seen on Spooky Swirl.
That is a horrible candle. Yeah, I will agree with that. It's just a distressing film, a disturbing film.
And you've been thinking about it a lot today, as a matter of interest.
Yes, and it's a very British kind of weird, which I greatly enjoyed, the fact that we haven't really been able to delve into something that is weird and British at the same time.
Yeah, no, this is very much of this island, you know, even though it's on another island.
Strange, yeah. I guess from a story standpoint, it's not that complex, but just the little details here and there.
Yeah, the repeat viewings, like, I got a lot more out of this the second time. Because, like, the first time I was watching this, I was expecting the big bleh to happen, and it didn't happen, really, until right at the end, where I felt I'd built up to this big crescendo of emotion.
And it was interesting to go back and think about it, having known the kind of twist at the end, that it was a trap all along, and then think, oh, what were they doing? So it might, you know, bear a rewatch at some point, but I guess we're going to watch the Nicolas Cage one, so I can just do that with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much a rewatch, because I imagine
film.
That will be like holding up a mirror, an American mirror to this, you know? And as we know, there's no two periods in culture that convalesce quite like the early 70s in England and the early noughties in America, which was definitely, you know, that's when MTV was riding high, you know, the VMAs were on everyone's mind.
If Howie had a cell phone, this would have been much easier, you know? It just called in the police.
He just would have, like, taken pictures of Lord Summerisle with silly filters. He would have been like, stop that, I don't have bunny ears.
Could he not have used a phone? Were there no phones on the island? To ring back to the mainland and say, this place is fucking weird, send help.
Send everyone. I swore there was a scene where he goes to a phone, but you're right, he doesn't. He's just a bit... I don't know. Cuts, mate. That's what it is. Cuts.
We don't see the phone scene.
You know? No, cuts to the police, mate. No one to ring.
I thought you meant cuts in the film. Like, there might have been one, but we don't see it.
I'm sick and tired of Tory cuts on our bloody movies. It's not
thought maybe
fair.
there was a scene where he's in a phone booth and you see a man in a squirrel mask just chopping the big wire. Like, oh, no, I've got you there.
So, were you scared? I mean, is that a fair... I mean, because it feels like almost unfair to ask you that, because it's not setting up to spook you, but I mean, are you feeling
scared and disturbed are different? And some of the imagery from this film has kind of stuck with me, which is that it has a very Shining feel to it. But Shining was more scary. It was also quite scary as well. This is more just fucking weird and yucky, but it's sitting with me at the moment. I don't really know how I feel about it, but that probably says something good about the film.
I think so, because I think this one is going to be itching at your brain a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not sure if, say, Nightmare on Elm Street has had the lasting effect on you that this one probably will do, even though maybe that was a movie that had more bleh and more gooey moments and whatnot. So, did you enjoy it? Because I don't feel like you're not there yet, if you even know.
I don't know. No, I'm not sure.
I don't know if we've had that in a movie for a while.
Yeah. Because you can enjoy a scary film, even though you're scared by it. You don't go, oh, that was scary, so I don't like it. Whereas this was like, I don't know if I had a good time watching this. It was interesting.
Do you want to watch it again, though?
I would be curious to watch it again. To, you know, pick up some bonus details here and there, but not really necessarily. I mean, just the visual look of it just upsets me somehow. I think the fact that it is Britain and it's quite familiar, but not, is the thing that there's a kind of uncanniness to it.
You're not used to seeing this type of a movie come from this neck of the woods.
No. I can't think of many other examples where I have seen that. So that's getting me a bit off kilter.
So, Sam, before we load you and I up into a giant wicker effigy of a Pepsi Max, what is your star wipe rating for The Wicker Man?
Look, given that I don't know how I feel about it, I'm going to go slap bang down the middle. I'm going to give this 3 star wipes.
3 star wipes? You heard it here first. Boo! Ah!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and the music was also by me. If you'd like to support the show directly, patreon.com/cinemaswirl is the way to go. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, that's @cinemaswirl. If you want to join us on Facebook, where the votes for episodes take place, that's facebook.com/cinemaswirl. And if you've got any questions, queries, comments, or other stuff, send them on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. If there's someone in your life who you think would enjoy Cinema Swirl, then why not recommend it to them? Otherwise, leave a review on whichever podcast thing you use, or just keep listening. That's much appreciated, so thank you. Alright, see you next time. Bye.